start from the first slide. Welcome to Data Structures. My name is Hassan Mustafa. I'll share my contact details in a later slide, and I'll share my office details as well. So what is data structure? It is the third course in programming. The first course that you study was programming fundamentals. Most of the students, I taught them that course, and then in OOP, again I was the coordinator of the course. But these two courses, I consider them as just to share knowledge with you that these constructs are there in C++ that you can use to develop something, right? But that programming is something that you just know what tools are available, right? But in data structure, that is the third course of your curriculum. Here you learn which solution is better than the other solution and what choices do you have. So this is my favorite course in programming, right? I would actually uh, teach data structures any number of times the university wants, but this is my favorite course because in this course we study how a solution is better than another solution. What are the choices do we have to implement one solution or the other, right? And later on in the algorithms analysis course, you would actually try to make some mathematical models. You try to make some mathematics and try to prove that your solution or solution A is better than solution B in what terms? What is the exact efficiency ratio of one program to the other, right? So algorithm course is more about mathematics, but the data structures course, it is actually about knowing the different alternatives that you have, and you can actually use them to develop an efficient solution, right? So this is data structures. We'll have different contents that I'll discuss them in a while. So first of all, some rules of the class. In fact, these are the rules that most of the teachers follow. But in my class, I try to have some more rules as well. So the first rule is not here in the online class, but when we'll be having inshallah the on-campus classes, hopefully from 15 September, maybe some later date. But I would like to have many questions. I would like to have as many questions as you have. So please ask questions, but don't, in fact, disturb the other classrooms, right? You should raise your hand and then ask the question when permitted. So this is the first rule to just to maintain some environment of learning. So then, secondly, never ever miss a class, and it's important here because in data structures we will be studying different data structures in 3 to 4 lectures at the max. We'll conclude one data structure, right? And if you have missed 1 or 2 classes from that, you will not be able to learn that. You can study from different books, but the books, they are not very standard books that we follow. We take material from several sources. Okay, so in the class we have made these slides. In data structures, in fact, we'll use slides in all classes. Okay, I think this was your actually first suggestion in PF and OOP course that we should use slides, but we didn't use there. But in data structures, we have slides and they are very thorough slides. We have collected material from different sources, and the material is very easy to understand and to grasp. So if you miss anything in the class, it will be difficult for you to discuss it at length on your own, right? So here I will be discussing all the examples, all the concepts, all the different ways to use a data structure. So in 3 classes, 3 or maybe maximum 4 classes of 1 hour, right? Not 1.5 hour. 3 classes of 1 hour will be completing almost every data structure, right? We would take maybe some more time on some complex data structures, but usually a classical data structure don't doesn't take more than 3 or maybe 4 lectures. So don't miss a class. Try to be in the class, even if you are not 100% ready. Just sit in the class and listen what the class is discussing, what we are talking about. Mostly data structures are learned through discussions, right? There are some, maybe I can say that hard and fast tools for a data structure, but mostly it is learned when we talk about different examples. Okay, we talk how we use arrays, in what conditions arrays are better than the linked list, and when linked list is better than arrays. So we'll have some examples in the class. So if you miss those examples, definitely the understanding that you develop would be lesser than the ones that who sit in the class, right? So please attend classes, even if you're not feeling 100%, just sit in the class, attend the class, so you have the material that you want to cover later on when you're feeling bad, right? Okay, never use mobile phone in the class. I tend to give punishments, and those are some interesting punishments. When will be in the on the campus and we'll be having classes, I would share those rules. When you use mobile phone in the class, what punishment do you get, right, Ufran? Maybe smose or something else, but mostly smose. Okay. Maybe कुछ लोग डाइट कॉन्शियस भी हो ना. Okay, so इसके अलावा देयर आर सम अदर रूल्स जो कि शायद मे बी अपने पीएफ और ऊप के एक्सपीरियंस से आई वुड शेयर कि in data structures we consider that now you guys are familiar with the concept of semester system. You are settled into the university, you are doing well, right? You don't have any logistics issue here. So that is why now in data structures we tend to be a little, in fact, more formal, right? We would try that you guys behave accordingly as well. So we would not actually accept queries that we used to do in OOP and BF. By this I mean that in OOP and in PF we were too much maybe available for the students, because we knew that many students have issues that are not from the course. Maybe they are from the university rules and regulation point of view. But in data structures, you are actually 100% familiar with the university environment now. And what we would like to have are the direct discussions and queries about the course, about some material. Maybe we would say that we consider you as some little grown-ups, and you would ask questions that are related to the subject more, and not related to other issues that you may face in the university, right? So, and maybe we would be going with a little, um, maybe what we can say that we would be focused on the course content more. Maybe I would not talk about other related issues about your personality, or maybe about how to take good grades, or if you should focus on getting good grades or not. Maybe some of you remember my last post in the OOP course, right? Remember? Um, if anybody can repeat it here, what was that? The last post on Flex that I had in the OOP course. Anybody? You can type in the chat. Don't go copy pasting from Piazza. Okay, so what I advise you to focus on the computer science concepts and the knowledge. Okay, don't go for the grades. Never go for the grades. Okay, if you have learned something, it would pay off, right? Good grades, maybe they pay off for the first 6 months of your career and not after that. Maybe your admission in the masters. After that, these grades won't matter. They won't actually count. For your first job, you would have to maybe come up the sorting order, and you want to be interviewed first. Your grades would count there. But the companies that are going to employ you, they would not look into your grades. In fact, they would take an interview of maybe an hour, sometimes more than that, just to know what you have learned in the university. What is your attitude towards your environment, right? So this is more important than grades. So in data structures, this is a course that teaches you, I guess, maybe 50% of, maybe more than 50% of your interview. All the questions the employers would be asking after you graduate from FAST, they would be asking about the different solutions of of the same problem, and they would ask you to compare them, and they would ask you to come up with a better solution. So all these concepts, all these comparisons of different implementations, these are the core part of this data structures course. So if you will be going towards after the grades, maybe you get the grades, but if you go after the learning and the knowledge, you would get the grades as well uh, as the crux of this computer science degree, right? So after this data structures course, of course, one important thing is that data structure is prerequisite for 5 different core computer science courses. Okay, 5 different core computer science courses. So if you miss data structures, or you don't perform good in data structures, don't learn data structures well, you would struggle in computer networks, operating systems, databases, object-oriented analysis and design, and the fifth course is there are 5 courses actually. I have counted 4. There's another course. So these are all different fields in computer science. So if you are CNET is computer network, right? I mentioned that. So um, so you actually, if you don't learn data structures well, you would actually be punished in all those courses, right? So knowledge here is more important than the grades. Just passing the course is enough, but you should know the material that we'll discuss. Okay, so another thing that the last point here is that we'll be following university policies in most of the matters, because uh, making a policy other than the policy that university has already shared usually creates confusions and results in some maybe bad taste. So we'll not go against the university policies. Um, in fact, about grading, what I saw in the OOP course, maybe I would like to share here. This is the right time to share that. The new grading scheme, what I have witnessed is very lenient. Um, in fact, in the OOP course, total number of students that couldn't pass were less than 10, right? So this was the first time that so less students have failed the course, and the reason being, I was not satisfied with that, because the students who were maybe the at the bottom 20 or 30 students, they missed almost all the assignments. So if in the OOT course you miss all the assignments, how would you claim that you know how to implement something using OOT principles? So the new grading scheme, that is the interquartile range scheme or NCA based scheme, it is very lenient. It usually gives D to almost all the students who should not be passed in a practical course. So maybe you should not worry more much about passing the course. Maybe ultimately everyone will pass the course. Maybe some 8 to 10 students who already maybe left the course during the execution would fail. Other than that, maybe all of you who have registered in the course may pass. So don't worry about the grading. Just focus on the learning, and take as much from the course. In fact, take as much from the instructors as well, because we would be having many examples, maybe some examples that we had in our mind, but during the lecture we may miss out. So if you ask questions, we would discuss those examples as well. So you can ask questions, and you can try to understand the concepts that we are discussing, and you can try to take as much as you want from your instructors and this course, right? So let's move forward. Of course, plagiarism is both the parties who are involved in the plagiarism would get minus 50% marks, right? Minus 50% marks is that if the assignment or a project is of 10 absolutes, you would be given -5 absolutes, right? 5 marks will be deducted from your already earned score. Okay, so this is a very harsh policy, but we follow this policy in data structures. We want everyone to do his or her own work, right? So please do not plagiarize. Last time we didn't check plagiarism in OOP because of the pandemic situation. We actually didn't try to be strict. We were very lenient, and maybe this time we won't be that much lenient. Uh, uh, so uh, about plagiarism, this is something in data structure that you are doing harm to yourself, right? It's a sort of something that you should not be doing as your own goal, right? That you would be implementing everything on your own, at least in data structures course, because this is the, you can say, the backbone of the entire computer science degree. So this is that you should definitely focus on. Attendance policy, usually I don't mark late, right? I just mark absent. This is what my students already know. If you come late in the class and I have closed my register, I would mark you absent, and I would not change that even if you attend the complete lecture. But this should not discourage you from coming late in the class if you have some serious concern. If you are late, you should come and sit in the class and learn what we are talking. But don't ask me to mark you present. Um, Two late arrivals will be treated as absent. I might not follow this, but this is the university rule in Flex. Actually, I do not mark late, so Flex won't work here. The implementation in Flex won't work here, right? So if you are marked twice as late, the Flex turns it into one absent. Okay, so switch section, this is the university policy. Okay, so now what is a data structure? Anybody who has maybe some idea? Someone, if you want to share something, what you expect from this course, you can just unmute yourself and ask question. So there are actually two terms, right? One is data and the other is structure. So data structure, I would actually, I would discuss each term separately. Data is something that our programs use, right? In OOP and in programming fundamentals course, we usually have input using scene, right? Scene statement in C++. We just read something from the console, maybe from a file, and then process that. Right? This is data. But now we are moving from those simple systems to some complex system, and in those systems, we would have the data would be actually the backbone of your system. There would be a lot of input from the user, and your system would be processing that input, right? So it would become a challenge for you to store that information, that input, in a way that is efficient to retrieve and to process, right? So the data, it would definitely be in abundance, and what we would like to have is a mechanism or a structure that stores that data in a way that is efficient to store. That is, it takes as less memory as possible, and secondly, the retrieval is faster than in any naive way of storing that data, right? So we would want that the information that we have stored, the input that we have stored in our system, is stored in a way that is taking the least amount of memory and the best performance, and giving the best performance, right? So what we have with the data structures is that we have a class, right, that we used to implement in C++. We have a class in which we have different data members. We store information there, and then we have different operations on those specific classes, right? So those operations are called algorithms. So usually the search, insert, and remove operations are the most common or the most useful operations in any data structure. You would definitely want to add something into that data structure because you have as I said, abundance of data. So you have to store many values in that data structure, and then you would want to remove some of them, some values that are not no longer required, and then the values that you already have in the data structure, you would like to search them, right? So search is, you can say, the main operation that would be required on every data structure, and we would want that the data structure that we have implemented has this specific operation implemented in the best possible way, right? So search operation is the operation that we are looking for. Then the comparisons would be done in the form of space and time. How much space a data structure takes is the complexity of that data structure in term of memory, right? So consumption of memory is one aspect of comparison, that if array takes maybe 50 bytes in the memory, would linked list take the same memory to store the same amount of data? You know linked list, right? We implemented twice it in the OOP course. So can anyone answer that if we have maybe 50 integer values, we want to store them and we use array data structure, it would take 50 into 4, that is 200 bytes, right? Maybe if integer is 4 bytes. And then if we store the same 50 integers in a linked list, can anyone compare these two data structures? Array is one data structure, linked list is another data structure. Uh, how would you compare them in terms of space? I have analyzed the space of arrays. It would take 200 bytes, simple, right? Would linked list take the same amount of space, or maybe more or less? Anyone? Okay, Wofran says less space. Linked list. Okay, you say linked list would take less space. Okay, 2 votes for that. Anybody else? Zoha, if you can answer, because you topped in the OOP course in our final exam. Zoha Jalil. Okay, I just wanted to take your name that you are the one who topped, who took scored the highest in OOP course, right? अच्छा जी. Malik Muhammad says same space for both. Okay, Ahmad Ali says more because linked list has pointers. Wafran says mashallah. Achha. Taha says linked list less. Achha, linked list will take more space. Okay, now we have 3 options. Same amount of space, less space for linked list, less space for arrays. So this is the comparison that we should be very sure about. Okay, we want to know how a linked list would take less or more space. It was a very simple answer, right? Actually, now I guess most of the students have understood. Maybe I guess I'm assuming that most of you have got the answer. Linked list would take, actually it would store the data of 15 integers, right? So definitely 200 bytes are there. And for a linked list to maintain itself, it would have different pointers as well. So there would be at least 49 pointers as well. So those 49 pointers would also take some space. So this is how I compare two data structures, right? So linked list would take 50 integers and 49 pointers. Okay, how I reach the value 49, this is another question. We would actually go into this much detail in every lecture, that that a statement should be 100% correct. 49 pointers or 48 pointer, it makes some difference to the analysis. So 49 pointers takes too much space. In fact, it doubles the space that the array took, right? Now Shah Hussain says that retrieval would be faster. We'll discuss that later. Okay, but this is one example that I've given you, that this is how would go about in this course. We would talk about a problem, and then we talk about different data structures, and maybe we talk about the current data structure, and then we would compare it with all the data structures that we studied so far in the course, right? So this is how we would go about it for about different examples. So secondly, that Shawsan said about the retrieval, it is the time to perform each basic operation, right? The second point. So the comparison would be about space and time. Time is the number of steps that a specific algorithm would take. In fact, we have separate lectures on this time estimation, how much time or how do we actually uh, calculate time of execution of specific algorithms. So we would have actually separate lectures. In fact, next few lectures, a couple of lectures would be on comparing and estimating the space and time of different data structures and algorithms. Okay, and the third part that should be of the least importance here is the programming effort, right? So of course we have to code what we have studied. So programming effort of a data structure also is very important. If you come up with a data structure that is very complex and very difficult to implement, in fact, it is very error prone. So maybe you should not go for that in some cases. If the performance is maybe uh, you can say groundbreaking, then you can of course implement that. But if it's not making much difference, you should not go for a data structure that is hard to implement. Okay, this is one advice, but we will talk about it later during the course as well. Okay, then so the overall cost of the data structure is the trade-off between space and time, right? Usually, when you try to implement an algorithm that is efficient, means that takes less number of steps, you would need some extra space. Okay, this is a trade-off. And when you use less space, you try to save space. Usually, your data structure takes or your algorithm takes more time. So, time and space are two parameters, and we have a trade-off between them. We increase time uh, to save some space, and then we increase space to save some time, right? So this is a trade-off between two parameters of efficiency calculation. Okay, so in fact, this is going into too much details. I would just skip these 2 points because these 2 points we will be discussing them in the next like 2 to 3 lectures in detail. Usually, we try to, by this frequency word, we mean that usually we try to implement a specific algorithm that is very frequent, uh, or you can say that we actually start choosing, in fact, we make our decision on the basis of the problem that we are trying to solve. All data structures are efficient on in their own sense, but what we do is that we choose a problem and then we try to design a data structure around that problem. So in that problem, maybe search operation is the operation that is the most frequent operation. So what we would do is we would choose a data structure whose search operation is the best. So this is the point that when we try to see the frequency of different operations and then we try to choose our data structure. Okay, so there is no single answer to the question that do we have a best data structure? No, we don't have one data structure as the best in all cases. For all scenarios, we would go with some basic steps to analyze the problem, and then we would decide that which data structure is better in this specific situation. Maybe in some specific situation, array is the best data structure for every operation that that specific problem requires. Okay, maybe the problem is only to store data, right? So when we are only focused on storing data, maybe array is the best data structure. But if we are focusing on the maybe the search operation, we would modify our array in a way that maybe a sorted array is better than the array that is not sorted. Search is faster in sorted data, right? So this is how we change our choice of a data structure. Okay, so now in online classes, teacher has a very restricted environment. Otherwise, what I would do here is maybe an act in which you would know what is a toolkit. It's like maybe आपने पुरानी मूवीज में देखा होगा कि जी ऑफिस जा रहा है बंदा और उसके हाथ में ब्रीफ केस है और ब्रीफ केस लेके जा रहा है और शायद उसको ब्रीफ केस में कोई बड़ी काम की चीजें रखी हुई हैं. This data structure course is that briefcase for you, that toolkit. Okay, whenever you have a problem, maybe computing problem, you would sit, open that box, and what you would do is you would see many instruments there. You would see the problem, and then you would decide, okay, this specific instrument is better in this situation. Okay, leave all the rest and pick this one and solve the problem, right? So this is how you actually use data structures. You should be having knowledge of all the data structures. All these data structures make your toolkit. You have that toolkit with you all the times. And when you have a problem in your a computing problem, you just open that box. Means you go into your memory and you decide which specific data structure you should pick in this specific situation, and then you use that data structure. And this is what usually good companies, when they hire resources, they ask the question where every data structure is possible to use, but they pick the best candidate based on the choice of that candidate about a data structure, right? So um, you can say, in other words, array is a universal data structure that can be used anywhere for any problem. But in a specific scenario, an array may be less efficient than a linked list. So in that scenario, you would not say array is the best solution. You would say I would pick linked list here. It takes some more space, but for this specific problem, I am not concerned about space. I am actually more concerned about some other maybe flexibility of the memory. Okay, so this is how you pick and choose from your toolkit. You have all the knowledge, you have all the data structures, but you would actually pick only one from all those structures that you have in your toolkit. So in this course, we'll actually try to fill that toolkit, and maybe in the project, you would try to customize that toolkit as well. How many students are actually interested in doing that? Customizing a data structure. It might be, I talked about array a lot in this lecture, right? In C Sharp, there is a structure that is called array list. That's a customization of an array. And what it does it is that it can store any type of data in it. It behaves like an array. You just use the index operator to store the data and to read the data. All the operators that are applicable to an array are available there, but you can store an integer on the first index, a float on the second index, a string on the third index, and so on. So this is a customization of an array, right? So you have a toolkit, you can mix 2 or 3 data structures and make another customized data structure that is suitable for a specific situation. So this is what, in fact, I would like you guys to think about. This is actually how a person would behave if he has become a good programmer or a computer scientist. You have a toolkit, now you need to use that. You can actually use them as they are, or you can customize them for your use in a specific situation. And the better you use it, the better programmer or the better computer scientist you are. So, and for that, of course, you need to you need to have an experience of comparing different implementation. So the cost and benefits of that specific customization should be in your mind when you're trying to do that. Remember, complexity of implementation is also a concern for us. So this was just about data structure. I hope I have made some sense for you guys that what we are going to study in this course. If you have any question that how are we going about this course, please ask now. Otherwise, now the lecture is almost complete. I would just talk about some maybe another example, a concrete example for you guys that would that actually I would give it to you to come up with a solution. So if you have any questions so far. Okay, no questions. So these are the course contents. Simply what we will do is in the first few lectures we talk about abstract data types. You studied them in course, how you implement abstract data type, right? So you would need that. In fact, you would have lab specific lab on that as well. You need to implement. In fact, in this course, all the classes would be mostly abstract classes. Okay, specifically the data structure part of your problem. Of course, computing problem would have other data structures as well. Specifically, you have data structure to solve that problem, that you have stored some data in a specific way, maybe in an array, in a linked list or a queue or stack. But then you have some more classes that are maybe an employee class or a person class that is there for the to just use OOP principle to store the data. So the part of your problem that relates to the data structures course, like arrays, linked list, queues, and stacks, all these classes would be implemented as abstract classes. Okay. Okay, I'll come to these two questions in a moment. Let me just explain this. So first, a few lectures after the cost comparison would be about abstract data types. Then we would go towards arrays. We talk about arrays. Okay. Then we would go. In fact, we will discuss some sorting techniques. Then we discuss linked lists. Then queues and stacks. Up till these stacks, these it becomes like four different data structures: arrays, linked list, queues, and stacks. These four data structures are called linear or classical data structures. Okay, linear data structures. Maybe some of you get the point by the term linear. It means that the data is stored one after the other. The first element, the second element, the third element, and the fourth element. We can name the elements using their number. In array, we have first element, second element, third element. In linked list, we have first element, second element, third element, right? So the sequence of the data can be numbered as a linear number array, right? Okay. Then after the stacks, we have trees, heaps, graph, B plus tree, and hashing. Except for hashing, all the data structures, trees, heaps, graphs, these data structures are not linear data structures. Okay, these are hierarchical data structures, and these are some complex and modern data structures that are designed to tackle some very complex problems, right? So the efficiency of these data structures are definitely better than the linear data structures, but they are complex. They are not very simple. They add some sort of inefficiency that the linear structures provide. Okay, so the efficiency in some operations is better, and they are specifically designed for those operations, whereas the some common operations that the arrays, linked list, queues, and stacks implement very efficiently are not there in these complex data structures. So we are trying to cover till some definition and terminologies of trees till the midterm, and then the remaining topics would be covered after the midterm. Okay, so the questions are, what is the difficulty of this course as compared to OOP? OOP में आपको चीजें याद करनी थी. You have to memorize a lot of things. बहुत से constructs, उनका syntax. In data structures, maybe we would not be more focused on the syntax. In fact, in the exam, we give problems in which we require just the pseudocode, right? So, अगर किसी problem में बहुत आसान solution है, maybe that problem is there for you to score as many marks as you want. But in that problem, we might add the difficulty of following the correct syntax. But the focus is not on the syntax in this course. So I guess OOP is a relatively different course in terms of maybe um, attempting different problems, right? But data structures, this is the course that actually gives you the breadth in the computer science knowledge. Okay, in OOP course, you are going in the depth of programming. You are trying to discover or know as many constructs that are there in the language. But in this course, we are not focused on the syntax. We are focused on the different how to solve different problems. एक डिफरेंस मैं इनफैक्ट और बता देता हूँ ऊप में और डाटा स्ट्रक्चर में. जब हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी में थे, इनफैक्ट आप लोगों को शायद आइडिया होगा कि मैं भी बैचलर्स मेरा भी फास्ट सही था. तो जब हम लोग यहाँ पे पढ़ते थे तो हम लोग जो खुद से एक बाइफर्केशन करते होते थे कि ऊप याद करने वाला काम है. ठीक है, तो अगर आप ऊप अच्छा कर रहे हैं तो आप एक बहुत अच्छे कोडर है, आप बहुत अच्छी कोडिंग कर सकते हैं. आपको कोई बंदा एग्जैक्ट सोल्यूशन बना के दे दे कि यार ये एफिशिएंट सोल्यूशन है, इसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर दो. ऊप में आप वो काम करते थे, लेकिन डाटा स्ट्रक्चर में आप वो सोल्यूशन बनाते हैं. तो दिस इज मोर टुवर्ड्स द लॉजिकल स्टेप्स दैट यू टेक टू फॉर्मुलेट अ सोल्यूशन. ठीक है, तो अगर आप बात करें कोर्स कंटेंट्स की, तो ये कंटेंट्स लॉजिकल हैं, वो कंटेंट्स क्रैमिंग के थे ज्यादा. ठीक है, तो मे बी ये इंटरेस्टिंग कोर्स ज्यादा है. टॉपिक्स इसमें बहुत सारे हैं. ठीक है, उस लिहाज से आपको बहुत सारी चीजें सीखने के लिए मौजूद हैं. लेकिन ऊप से कंपैरिजन एक तरफ कोडर है और एक तरफ प्रोग्रामर है. ठीक है, एक तरफ लॉजिकल काम हो रहा है और एक तरफ आपका चीजें याद हैं, हर चीज आपको पता है. यहाँ पे सेमीकोलन लगेगा, यहाँ पे कॉमा लगेगा, यहाँ पे ब्रैकेट लगानी है वरना एरर आ जाएगा. आपको एग्जैक्टली पता है कि आईडी में कहाँ पे कौन सा बटन मौजूद है, कौन से शॉर्टकट से आपकी ज्यादा. तो ये ऊप के अंदर आप शायद उस चीज पे ज्यादा फोकस थे. यहाँ पे आप फोकस्ड हैं इस चीज के ऊपर कि अगर एक प्रॉब्लम आ गया तो उसमें क्या कुछ किया जा सकता है कि इसको एफिशिएंटली सॉल्व कर लीजिए. ठीक है जी, तो थोड़ा सा कंपैरिजन मैंने बता दिया ऊप का और डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स का. डाटा स्ट्रक्चर कुछ लोगों को जिनको डिफिकल्ट लगेगा, या तो मैं उन्हें ठीक से नहीं पढ़ा सका, या फिर वो लोग कंप्यूटर साइंस को ठीक से नहीं समझ पाए. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे सब कुछ लॉजिक्स बिल्ड कर रहे होंगे. ठीक है, आपने डिजाइन करने हुए सॉल्यूशंस. अगर मैं ऐसे करूंगा तो 4 स्टेप्स ज्यादा लग जाएंगे, ऐसे करूंगा तो 3 स्टेप्स कम लग जाएंगे. ये शॉर्टकट है, ये लॉन्ग उसका टर्न पड़ेगा. ठीक है, तो इस तरह की चीजें आपने सोचनी होगी. तो ये थोड़ा सा ज्यादा इंटेलिजेंटली करने वाला काम है. ठीक है, अच्छा, रिपीट द 6 स्लाइड. दिस इज द 9th स्लाइड. 6 स्लाइड ये वाली थी. अच्छा, अच्छा, इसमें इनफैक्ट जो मैंने बात की थी वही की थी कि हमारे पास जो डाटा स्ट्रक्चर है, बेसिकली इसमें 2 डिफरेंट पार्ट्स हैं. वन इज डाटा एंड द अदर इज स्ट्रक्चर. We have input from the user and we need to process that input. To process that input, we need to have that input in the memory, right? So we need to store it in the memory in a way that is suitable to our given problem, right? And the structure is the way we organize that information in the memory, right? So the structure, हमारा focus है होगा structure पे. The focus would be on how we can optimize the space and how we can optimize the performance, right? तो 2 चीजें हैं, इनका ख्याल रखना. सेकेंडली, जो ऑपरेशंस कॉमनली परफॉर्म होते हैं वो है सर्च, इंसर्ट एंड रिमूव. लेकिन ये जो 3 ऑपरेशंस हैं, इनमें से भी हमें ये देखना होगा कि कौन सा ऑपरेशन ज्यादा फ्रीक्वेंट है. ठीक है, यूजुअली किसी भी डाटा स्ट्रक्चर में हमेशा कोई डाटा इंसर्ट होगा, फिर उसके ऊपर कोई सर्चिंग परफॉर्म होगी, यानी कि प्रोसेसिंग हो रही होगी. हर प्रोसेसिंग के लिए डाटा को रीड तो करना पड़ेगा ना. तो सर्च इज लाइक कि हमें रीड करना है डाटा, सही है. और उसके बाद रिमूव करने का, जब डाटा रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है तो उसको रिमूव कर दीजिए, उसको डिलीट कर दीजिए. ठीक है, तो सर्च, इंसर्ट एंड रिमूव, ये 3 ऑपरेशन तो हर डाटा स्ट्रक्चर पे होंगे. उसके अलावा मैंने जैसे अभी लास्ट स्लाइड में आपको बताया था कि कुछ डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स ऐसे भी हैं जो कि ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स हैं. तो उनमें इंसर्ट, रिमूव के अलावा और सर्चिंग के अलावा भी कुछ ऑपरेशंस हैं जो कि इंप्लीमेंटेड हैं, जो कि डिफरेंट स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करने के लिए. तो वहां पे ये लिस्ट बहुत बड़ी भी हो सकती है हमारे पास. ये 3 ऑपरेशन तो आपने कहीं पे भी कोई भी डाटा स्ट्रक्चर बनाना है तो ये 3 तो लाजमी होंगे. लेकिन इनके अलावा आपके पास बहुत से डाटा स्ट्रक्चर, बहुत से ऑपरेशंस आ जाएंगे जब आप कोई और डाटा स्ट्रक्चर जो कि कुछ ज्यादा स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करते हैं, उसके लिए वो स्पेसिफिक एल्गोरिथम्स भी ऐड हो जाएंगे. अच्छा जी, उसके बाद हुज़ैफा, आपका क्वेश्चन है कि व्हाट अबाउट मैप्स. तो मैं दोबारा आउटलाइन पे चला जाता हूँ. ये जो मेरे पास कोर्स कंटेंट्स थे, तो ये जो एंड पे हैशिंग लिखा हुआ है ना, ये हैशिंग, ये मतलब सॉर्ट ऑफ मैप्स होता है. ठीक है, तो मैप्स के अंदर हैशिंग यूज होती है। मैप्स का मतलब आपका डिक्शनरी है, ठीक है। तो डिक्शनरी के अंदर एक्चुअली हैशिंग यूज होती है। तो हम इस कॉन्सेप्ट को डिस्कस करेंगे आखिर में। आखिर में इसलिए डिस्कस करेंगे कि शायद हमने फाइनल एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन देने हैं आपको, ठीक है, वो किसी वजह से। तो लेकिन ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये आपके एल्गोरिथम के कोर्स में बहुत ज्यादा यूज होती है, ठीक है। So that is why we would be discussing hashing as well. In the last term, in fact, the term that I was not teaching data structure, in that term, Dr. Adnan, who is the coordinator this time, he removed this hashing content from this data structures course. And the reason was that this content was discussed in algorithm in detail. But this time, fortunately, Miss Noor, who teaches algorithms course as well, she's with us in data structures, and her feedback is that we need students to know something about hashing before they come to the algorithms course. So we have added this content in this data structures as well. So we would be talking. Okay, Ji, now you can hear me, right? Okay, thank you. Actually, one of my screens, I have two screens here. One of the system was logged out and I rejoined the meeting. So, okay, so this is the tentative breakdown. In fact, this is not the tentative, this is the final breakdown unless na khair kare, koi masla na bane. So, we would have quizzes of 5 absolutes, then we have a lab of 10 absolutes, right? This is important. For those students, maybe there are some students who are taking this course who are from some previous batch, and for them this course is of 3 credit hours. For the current and the previous batch, 18 batch, this course is a 4 credit hours course, means 3 credit hours for the theory and 1 credit hour for the lab part. So for all of you, for those who have this course as 4 credit hours course, for you, lab is 10 absolutes. And just a clarification for those students for whom this course is 3 credit hours course, they still need to take all the labs. Okay, if you are from a batch for which this data strategy course is 3 credit hours, you still need to take labs and you need to implement everything there and submit that as well, because we have actually specified this 10 absolute weightage in the course as well for the lab. Okay, so if you have submitted your lab tasks, we would count them as 10 absolutes here in the course as well. And this is for the for those students specifically designed this. We have designed this for those students who are taking this course as a 3 credit hours course. For those who have this course as a 4 credit hours course, we just count lab submissions in this theory part as well. Okay, you would have a lab grade, but you also have this contribution in the theory part as well from the labs. Okay, then we have 15 absolutes for the assignments, 10 absolutes for the project, midterm of 20 absolutes, and final of 40 absolutes. Remember that the project would be in the group of two, maybe maximum three people, right? So not more than three, definitely. And we would encourage that the group members in the project, they are from the same section. We do allow groups that comprise of students from multiple sections, but we encourage you to be in the same section because this makes things this make things easier for you. Okay, but still, this would be a group project. All the assignments and labs would be individual work. Okay, and before moving on to this example, I would go into the course outline. Just wait, I would share something. Before this example, I would like to share something with you. I would come back to this example later. Okay. 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 So we have around 15 to 20 minutes. Let's just cover this example, and the last thing that I would share with you will be the course books. So I think we should continue with the current speed. So this example, consider that we have a server company, maybe Telenor, okay, and in this company we have 10 million users, and in for these 10 million users, for the security reasons, the company wants to issue only one contract to each customer. Actually ये एक बहुत common requirement है. जब भी आप कोई सिम लेने जाते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल, या मे बी अगर पीटीसीएल की बात करें, तो पीटीसीएल एक्चुअली हैज many products, right? It has a landline, it has PTCL broadband, then they have wireless devices. They used to have a different cellular service as well, but they do not offer it to general public. But they have multiple products. Similarly, maybe Telenor also have multiple products. They have their Wi-Fi devices, and they have their SIMs for calling, right? So the overall structure is that whenever a customer comes to a sales office, ये करते क्या है कि they ask for the CNIC. You tell your CNIC and then they bring your contract with the company. अगर आपने पहले से एक सिम लिया तो उनको पता होता है कि this SIM is issued to this specific customer. और उसके बाद अगर आप कोई और चीज लेना चाहते हैं तो वो उसी एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अगेंस्ट ऐड होती है. द सेम पर्सन, द सेम जो कस्टमर है, it has now multiple products, right? So there is one contract, and for each contract they have multiple products that are issued to that specific customer, right? ये concept सबको समझ आ गए? There is one contract for each person, and for each person they can issue multiple products or devices. One device could be a SIM, the other could be the maybe Wi-Fi device, the internet device. Okay, in PTCL they have multiple things. The broadband the telephone that is landline telephone, then they have a wireless telephone as well, and then they have their wireless internet services as well. So maybe you have, in fact, the TV as well. So they have multiple products, but one contract against each customer. So for the security reasons, they want to check that specific condition that one person should be issued only one contract. Okay, against each CNAC, they want to have only one contract. So this is the overall scenario, the problem that we want to focus on now. So the challenge is to detect multiple contracts, right? Okay, so the challenge is to detect multiple contracts. Now we would try to solve this specific challenge given the knowledge of OOP and PF codes, right? So what you can do is, whenever the overall scenario is that whenever a customer comes to the sales office, they search for the CNIC. If the CNIC is available in the database of that company that is added to their system, they do not issue a new contract. And if it is not there, they search for the CNIC. And if it is not found, they issue a new contract. If it is found, the search is successful. They do not issue a new contract. In fact, they simply give the product against the already existing contract. ओके, कस्टमर को मना नहीं कर रहे, कस्टमर को इश्यू जरूर कर रहे हैं नया प्रोडक्ट, लेकिन उसके ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के अगेंस्ट करना है या उसके लिए नया कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनाना है। जैसे होता है ना कि रजिस्ट्रेशन करनी है आपके लिए, तो इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने का तरीका एक तो ये हो सकता है। देखिए जी, व्हाट इज दिस, इफ यू कैन जस्ट रिमेंबर। अब आप लोगों ने बोलना, मैंने नहीं बोलना। दिस इज योर टर्न नाउ। ये जो सामने आपको नजर आ रहा है स्क्रीन के ऊपर, व्हाट इज दिस? अगर आप इसका अपने अभी तक जितना नॉलेज है C++ का या ऊप के कोर्स में जो पढ़ा था उसके मुताबिक बताएं। चलिए मैं थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ कि ये वो चीज दिखाई है जो कि उस कंपनी ने अपने पास स्टोर की हुई है। दिस इज द पिक्चर ऑफ दैट मेमोरी जो कि उस कंपनी ने अपने पास कस्टमर्स के लिए बनाई हुई है। तो आप इस मेमोरी को क्या कहेंगे? उसामा कह रहे हैं 3D एरे। कोई और बच्चा? इज इट रियली 3D? मैप, Huzaifa, you are a fan of maps, right? 2D, ठीक है जी। हसन कह रहे हैं 2D और अली कह रहे हैं 2D एरे, ठीक है जी। तो 2D कैसे हो गई? ठीक है, a class of 3 data members, this is also a very logical solution कि you make a class or a structure that has CNIC, name and address as fields, and then you have an array of the objects of that class or structure। ठीक है जी, एग्जैक्टली था। हाँ, आप भी ठीक कह रहे हैं कि इट कैन बी एन एरे ऑफ यूजर इंफॉर्मेशन ऑब्जेक्ट्स। ठीक हो गया। क्लास ऑफ 3 डेटा मेंबर्स, आसिम आप भी ठीक है। ठीक है, तो आपको काफी हद तक पता चल गया कि दिस कुड बी कि हम इसको ऐसे कह सकते हैं कि वी हैव क्रिएटेड अ स्ट्रक्चर इन C++। एक चीज और ध्यान रखिए, डाटा स्ट्रक्चर कोर्स में शायद मैं लैंग्वेज इंडिपेंडेंट भी हो जाऊं, ठीक है। तो मैं C++ सिर्फ वो लिंक जोड़ने के लिए कर रहा हूँ कि ऊप में आप C++ से फेमिलियर है, ठीक है। वरना ये एग्जांपल उसके बगैर भी हो सकती है। मैं सिंपल ये भी कह सकता था कि आपने कोई ऐसा ग्रुप बना लिया जिस ग्रुप के अंदर आपने 3 मेंबर्स रखे हुए हैं, CNIC, नेम एंड एड्रेस। अब ये जो आपने ग्रुप बनाया है, इस ग्रुप के आपने मल्टीपल कॉपीज बनानी है। तो फर्स्ट वे जो कि आपके ज़हन में आ रहा है दैट इज कि हम एक एरे बना लें, जिसका मतलब है कि ये कंटीग्युअस स्पेस में आप एलोकेट करना चाहें, ठीक है। दिस इज वन वे। ओके, अब मैं आपका ये जो सोल्यूशन आपने बताया, ये जो अभी दिखाया है, इस सोल्यूशन में किसी को प्रॉब्लम नजर आता हो अभी, अगर आप बोलना चाहें। मैं पिक करना शुरू कर दूं लोगों को। सुमामा, आप क्या कहते हैं? क्वेश्चन ये है कि ये जो एक डिपिक्शन आपको दिखाई हुई है, ये वो डाटा स्टोर करना था जिसको लोगों ने कह दिया कि मे बी एक एरे है और स्ट्रक्चर्स जो है ना स्ट्रक्चर या क्लास के ऑब्जेक्ट्स बने हुए उनकी एरे है। अब मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि ठीक है, मान लिया कि ये एरे है, लेकिन इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है? कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सब नहीं, जो आप कह रहे हैं अहमद, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सब मिसिंग, ये बेसिकली आप कह सकते हैं कि ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ही है। ये तीन इंफॉर्मेशन मिला के एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनता है, सीएनएससी, नेम एंड एड्रेस। ठीक है, ये तीनों मिला के एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बनता है, तो ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सेव हुआ है। तो इस तरह के मल्टीपल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है। तो वो जो क्लास आप पर्सन की क्लास कह रहे थे या यूजर इंफॉर्मेशन की क्लास कह रहे थे, उससे सिंपल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की क्लास कह सकते हैं। तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की क्लास की आपके पास एरे बनी। अच्छा जी, डुप्लीकेशन तो हमने मना करनी थी। डुप्लीकेशन कहाँ पे है वो डुप्लीकेशन? नहीं, कहीं पे नहीं, क्या हो गया? नो डुप्लीकेशन। ठीक है, डुप्लीकेशन नहीं है। एक्चुअली कंपनी का वो जो एल्गोरिथम आपको बताया था स्टेप बाय स्टेप वाला, यही तो था। देखिए जरा, कि पहले ये वाला प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हैं और फिर नई वैल्यू इंसर्ट करते हैं, अदरवाइज पुरानी वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट कहीं और पे नया प्रोडक्ट ऑफर करते हैं। लेकिन ये वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स पड़े हुए, ठीक है, डुप्लीकेशन नहीं है। हम जब स्टोर करते हैं एरे में, तो पहले चेक कर लेते हैं कि एरे के अंदर पुराना पड़ा है कि नहीं। नॉट सॉर्टेड, क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा? नॉट सॉर्टेड पे फर्क पड़ जाएगा वैसे, ठीक है। ये भी अच्छी ऑब्जर्वेशन है कि सॉर्टेड नहीं है। अच्छा, एनएससी नेम एंड एड्रेस, एड्रेस बेशक सेम आ जाए वैसे, अगर एड्रेस है सेम, हाँ ठीक है। एड्रेस बेशक सेम आ जाए, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। मतलब मैं और मेरे भाई या मेरे अबू, ठीक है, एक ही घर में रहते हों, और हम दो सिम ले सकते हैं ना अपने अपने नाम पे। ठीक है, तो नेम एंड एड्रेस का कॉम्बिनेशन यूनिक नहीं करना। सीएनआईसी इज द थिंग जो कि यूनिक होनी चाहिए। जी, उसामा ने कोई बात की है, उसके बाद नॉट सॉर्टेड यूनिक आईडी फॉर ईच कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, वो तो एनएसी हो गया। उसामा ने बोला था, उस मोहम्मद उसामा ने। मलिक मोहम्मद ने बोला सर्चिंग में फर्क पड़ेगा। ठीक है, अच्छा, वो सॉर्टिंग से बेहतर हो सकती है। और काशिफ ने क्या, एड्रेस सीक्वेंस, सम एड्रेसेस हैव सिटी एंड सम आर नॉट। चलिए, वो थोड़ा डाटा क्लींजिंग की बात आ सकती है, लेकिन अगर यही डाटा अवेलेबल है, हमने तो एनएसी पे सर्च करना है। एड्रेस इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट टू अस, इनफैक्ट नेम इज आल्सो नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट। मेरे पास सिर्फ सीएनआईसी भी हो जाए तो बहुत है। ओके, अब मैं वापस आता हूँ उसामा खताब आपके पॉइंट की तरफ। जी, बाकी लोग जरा ये पॉइंट रीड करें कि देयर आर 10 मिलियन यूजर्स। अगर आप लास्ट स्लाइड पे गौर से देखते, प्रॉब्लम स्टेट्स दैट वी हैव 10 मिलियन यूजर्स ऑफ दिस स्पेसिफिक कंपनी, और अभी और ऐड हो रहे हैं। ठीक है, पाकिस्तान में तो जितनी स्पीड में सेलुलर सर्विसेज आगे जा रही है, उतनी स्पीड में तो वो कुछ भी नहीं जा रहा। हाँ, तो अगर 10 मिलियन यूजर्स हैं जिनको बिलियंस में जाना है, आपने बनाई है एरे। एरे नीड्स अ कंटिगुअस स्पेस, कहाँ पे लाएंगे? ठीक है, सो दिस इज अ वेरी मेजर ड्रॉबैक ऑफ दिस इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। ये 10 मिलियन यूजर्स एक ही जगह पे कैसे स्टोर करेंगे, जिनमें एक एड्रेस की फील्ड भी है जिसका पता नहीं लेंथ कितनी ज्यादा हो सकती है। ठीक है, गुफरान ने फौरन से जंप की लिंक लिस्ट के ऊपर, और मुझे यकीन है कि अभी मैफ वाले साहब भी आ जाएंगे। शाह हुसैन, हाँ? मैफ वाले साहब, हुजैफा, हाँ, ठीक है जी। डिलीटिंग डाटा वुड बी हार्ड, क्यों डिलीट करने जनाब? को बंदा किधर जाएगा? ठीक है, एक्चुअली सेलुलर कंपनी के अगर इसी इन्वायरमेंट को दोबारा देखें, तो डिलीटिंग इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड एट ऑल। इनफैक्ट कंपनीज इंफॉर्मेशन रखना चाहती है, कोई कस्टमर चला गया, वो चला गया क्यों गया था, क्या प्रोडक्ट्स थे उसके पास, यकीनन हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स में कोई इशू था, और किस एरिया में था, किस लोकेशन पे इशू था, ये सब जानना कंपनी के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। दे वुड नेवर ट्राई टू डिलीट एनीथिंग फ्रॉम दिस टेबल, राइट? So deletion is not an operation that is in our consideration. Okay, तो यही समझना, यही जो चीज हम डेवलप कर रहे हैं, ये डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स का पार्ट है कि प्रॉब्लम क्या चाह रहा है हमारे से। ठीक है, तो प्रॉब्लम का चैलेंज सबसे बड़ा क्या है कि दो चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट है। नंबर वन, ये मैं अगर आपको दिखाऊं, नंबर वन इज देयर आर 10 मिलियन यूजर्स, एंड नंबर टू इज कि हमें उनको सर्च करना है। ठीक है, तो ये दो प्रॉब्लम है। सर्चिंग के ऊपर कुछ बच्चों ने सॉर्टिंग की बात की थी, विच इज लॉजिकल, लेकिन जो स्टोरिंग है, स्टोरेज के ऊपर भी हमने सही से अच्छी इंप्लीमेंटेशन नहीं प्रोवाइड की। ठीक है जी, अच्छा जी, डेफिनेटली रिट्रीविंग एंड सर्चिंग वुड बी हार्ड, हम इसको डेफिनेटली इंप्रूव करना चाह रहे हैं। ठीक है, तो कैसे इंप्रूव करेंगे? तो एक सोल्यूशन, इनफैक्ट यहाँ पे एरे के ही 3-4 सोल्यूशन बताएंगे। पहला सोल्यूशन ये है कि हम एक्चुअली ये भी कर सकते थे कि बजाय इसके सारा डाटा एक जगह पे स्टोर करें, वी कुड हैव 3 डिफरेंट एरेज, वन एरे ऑफ सीएनएसी, another array of name, another array of addresses। 3 डिफरेंट एरेज बन गई। नेम और एड्रेस मैंने पहले बताया था हमें नहीं रिक्वायर्ड, हमें रिक्वायर्ड है सीएनआईसी जो कि यूनिक है। तो हम CNAC को खाली को रख लेते हैं अपनी रैम के अंदर, बाकी दोनों को हम कहीं अलग से स्टोर कर देते हैं किसी और इन्फॉर्मेशन पे। और इनके अंदर लिंक ये है कि इंडेक्स 0 के ऊपर जो NAC है उसी का नाम इंडेक्स 0 वाली एरे नेम वाली में है, और उसी का एड्रेस जो है इंडेक्स 0 पे एड्रेस वाली एरे के अंदर पड़ा हुआ है। तो दिस कुड बी वन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। मेरा नहीं ख्याल इसको दूसरी एरे से आप किसी भी तरह से लेस पॉइंट्स दे सकते हैं, ठीक है। दूसरा था कि आप स्ट्रक्चर बना लें, उसकी एरे बना लें। तीसरा था क्लास बना लें, उसकी एरे बना लें। स्ट्रक्चर क्लास में सच कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन ठीक है, दो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन डिफरेंट हो सकती है। कोई ये कहना चाहे कि 3 एरेज बनाना ज्यादा बेहतर है स्ट्रक्चर्ड एरे की जगह। मेरे ख्याल बहुत से लोगों को कहना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैंने एक्सप्लेन कर ही दिया है कि शायद 3 एरेज बनाने में मैं बहुत सी स्पेस रैम में बचा सकता हूँ, मेरी सर्चिंग ज्यादा बेहतर हो सकती है, क्योंकि ज्यादा डाटा रैम में एक वक्त में आ जाएगा। नेम एंड एड्रेस की एरे मुझे नहीं रिक्वायर्ड सर्चिंग के दौरान, उसको मैं अलग से किसी जगह स्टोर करता हूँ। लेकिन जो NAC की CNAC की एरे है वो मेरे पास रैम में अवेलेबल होनी चाहिए, तो वो अलग बनाना शायद एक बेहतर सोल्यूशन है कंपेयर्ड के मेरे पास स्ट्रक्चर और क्लास की एरे की इंफॉर्मेशन उसके साथ स्टोर। ठीक है, दिस वाज वन सोल्यूशन। अब इससे डिफरेंट सोचते हैं, ठीक है। गुफरान ने लिंकेज की बात की थी, उसको भी देख लेते हैं कि हमारे पास उस तरह की चीज भी हो सकती थी। एक और सोल्यूशन देखते हैं इसका, ठीक है। तो सोल्यूशन ये है, चलिए पहले तो इसमें देख लेते हैं जो सोल्यूशन था, ये वाला जो स्पेसिफिक हमने बताया था कि न्यू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आया तो पहले जाके इस एरे के अंदर सर्च करेंगे। सर्च अगर हमारे पास डिसीजन यस आएगा तो इशू नहीं करेंगे, और अगर नो आएगा तो इशू करेंगे, ठीक है जी। तो ये इसके डिसएडवांटेजेस हमने डिस्कस कर लिए, ठीक है। स्लाइड के ऊपर बहुत सी चीजें वो आ रही है जो कि मैं आपसे डिस्कस कर चुका हूँ, ठीक है। एक्चुअली मेरा तरीका ही डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स में ये होगा कि मैं आपके साथ 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 डिस्कस करता जाऊंगा, और वहीं पे वो सारे पॉइंट्स एक ही स्लाइड शायद ओपन होगी, उसमें हम सब डिस्कस कर लेंगे। जब नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पे जाएंगे तो सारे सॉल्यूशंस जो हमने डिस्कस किए होंगे वो यहाँ पे नजर आते जाएंगे, ठीक है। तो इसको हमारे लिए जाते हैं। तो इम्प्रूव करने का एक तरीका, जी हुजैफा अब आप बोलते हैं जो आपके दिल में है कब से। हम क्या करेंगे, क्रिएट अ डिक्शनरी, ठीक है जी, मैप सही है। तो मास भी ऐड हो गए मैप की लाइन में, ठीक है। तो हमने अब ये डिक्शनरी को थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन कर देते हैं कि ये एक बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स डाटा स्ट्रक्चर है जो कि इतना इजीली इंप्लीमेंटेबल भी नहीं है, लेकिन हम उसको इसका बहुत सिंपल सा वर्जन आपके साथ शेयर कर लेते हैं कि वो कैसे हो सकता है। तो हम करेंगे कि हम वो जो 3 एरियाज बनाए थे, 3 एरियाज में सिर्फ CNAC एरे को उठा लें, और उस CNAC की एरे को उठाने के बाद भी उसके ऊपर भी हम कुछ और चीज ऐड करें। तो उसके ऊपर क्या ऐड करना है कि हम ये करें कि उस एरे में से हम NAC के पहले डिजिट की बेस पे, जैसे यहाँ पे ये मैंने थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट कलर में दिखाया है कि ये 3 4 1 एक है, तो इसका पहला डिजिट 3 है, दूसरे CNAC का पहला डिजिट भी 3 है, और तीसरे डिजिट CNAC का पहला डिजिट है 1। अगर मैं इसकी बेस पे डाटा को डिवाइड करना शुरू कर दूं तो कितनी डिविजन्स बन जाएंगी डाटा की टोटल? 0 से भी स्टार्ट हो सकता है, ठीक है। तो ये 10 डिविजन्स बन जाएंगी, ठीक है। तो अगर तो मतलब सारे ही, क्योंकि ये जो पहला डिजिट होता है ये यूजुअली अगर पाकिस्तान की बात करें तो नादरा ये पहला डिजिट शायद किसी में भी आपका जो होम टाउन होता है उससे रिलेट कर रहा होता है। तो अगर उस कंपनी के पूरे पाकिस्तान में नेटवर्क है तो शायद ऑलमोस्ट रफली इक्वल नंबर या सॉर्ट ऑफ इक्वल नंबर ऑफ जो कस्टमर्स हैं वो हर डिजिट के बेस्ड होंगे। 1 से शुरू होने वाले आईडी कार्ड्स भी उतने ही होंगे जितने 3 से शुरू होने वाले हैं, और ऑलमोस्ट उतने ही होंगे जितने 4 से शुरू होने वाले हैं। तो अगर मैं इस बेस पे डिवीजन कर दूं तो ओवरऑल डाटा को मैंने 10 डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर दिया, सही हो गया। अब जब ये 10 डिफरेंट पार्ट्स में डिवाइड कर दिया, जो 10 मिलियन था उसमें से हर चंक शायद 1 मिलियन का हो, ठीक है। ये भी काफी बड़ी स्पेस है, लेकिन दिस कुड बी फर्स्ट स्टेप जिसके लेके हम चल सकते हैं। तो हमने क्या किया कि हमने उसकी बेस पे डिवाइड किया। हमारा तरीका क्या होगा कि पहला जब भी कोई सर्च आएगी सबसे पहले हम क्या करेंगे कि उस CNAC का पहला डिजिट चेक करेंगे। जो उसका पहला डिजिट मिलेगा तो हमने एक एरे अपने पास और बनाई होगी। जो एरे क्या कर रही होगी, वो अपने पास ये स्टोर कर रही होगी कि 1 से शुरू होने वाले जो CNAC है उनकी एरे कहाँ पे पड़ी हुई। तो हमारे पास एक एड्रेस होगा उसके बेस्ड। इसी तरह 2 से शुरू होने वाले जो CNAC है उनकी एरे कहाँ पे पड़ी हुई। तो हमने 10 डिफरेंट एरेज CNAC की बना ली, और उन 10 एरेज के एड्रेसेस मैंने एक और एरे में स्टोर कर लिया, जिसको मैं कह रहा हूँ कि मेरे पास मैप है, ठीक है। तो जो सोल्यूशन है दैट वुड बी कि मेरे पास 0 से शुरू होने वाले रिकॉर्ड्स का एड्रेस एक जगह पड़ा हुआ है जहां से आगे सारे रिकॉर्ड्स पड़े, ठीक है जी। इस तरह 3 से शुरू होने वाले रिकॉर्ड्स, इसी तरह 6 से शुरू होने वाले रिकॉर्ड्स एंड सो ऑन। मेरे पास ये सारी की सारी 10 डिफरेंट एरेज बन जाएंगी, ठीक है। दिस कुड बी अ सॉल्यूशन जिसको हम मजीद इंप्रूव भी कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आइडिया आपको ये दिया है कि ओवरऑल हमारे पास एक ही प्रॉब्लम को टैकल करने के लिए एक तो हमें मल्टीपल चीजें रिक्वायर्ड हो सकती है, जरूरी नहीं कि हम एक ही डाटा स्ट्रक्चर यूज करें। सेकेंडली, हम स्टार्ट हमेशा नाइव सोल्यूशन से करेंगे। नाइव सोल्यूशन में भी हमेशा एरे होगा, या उस प्रॉब्लम की नेचर की बेस पे हो सकता है कि एरे की भी हम शुरू ही किसी और डाटा स्ट्रक्चर से करें, लेकिन हम सिंपलेस्ट डाटा स्ट्रक्चर से शुरू करेंगे और फिर हम उसके अंदर प्रॉब्लम्स देखते जाएंगे कि इसमें एक प्रॉब्लम ये भी है, अच्छा इसको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए हम कुछ एडिशन करते हैं। तो हम अपने डाटा स्ट्रक्चर को इम्प्रूव करते करते फाइनली उस इम्प्लीमेंटेशन या उस सोल्यूशन पे पहुंच जाएंगे जो कि बेस्ट सूटेड होगा इस स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशन की। यहाँ पे जो सोल्यूशन है अभी भी बेस्ट नहीं है, लेकिन काफी बेहतर है। इसमें सर्च 10 टाइम्स फास्टर हो चुकी है। ये बात सब एग्री करते हैं कि 10 टाइम फास्टर कैसे हो गई है? ठीक है, अभी मैंने पढ़ा बहुत ही रफली आपको 10 टाइम्स फास्टर कह दिए। नेक्स्ट लेक्चर्स में हम थोड़ा सा इसके ऊपर जब फोकस करेंगे तो आपको एग्जैक्टली पता चलेगा कि ये कैलकुलेट कैसे किया कि 10 टाइम फास्टर हुई है या मे बी 10 से कम हुई है। ठीक है जी, तो यहाँ पे हम इसको तकरीबन बस रोक देते हैं, ये डिस्कशन हम बाद में करेंगे। बाकी जो है मैं अब आपके साथ जो शेयर करना चाह रहा हूँ वो ये है कि हमारे पास जो बुक्स हैं, यूजुअली हम इन बुक्स को बहुत ज़्यादा 100% हर बुक को फॉलो नहीं कर रहे होंगे। ठीक है, हम जो पहली बुक है डीएस मलिक की, ये बहुत ज़्यादा इसमें C++ का कोड भी आपको मिल जाएगा, सारे डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का। तो ये बुक अगर आप बिल्कुल टू द पॉइंट पढ़ना चाह रहे हैं तो इस बुक को फॉलो कर सकते हैं, डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स यूजिंग C++। लेकिन हम अपने लेक्चर्स में इस बुक को यूज नहीं कर रहे होंगे, मतलब इसको फॉलो नहीं कर रहे होंगे। हमारे लेक्चर्स अपने अलग से बने जो कि इनमें से 3 बुक्स का मिक्सचर है। ठीक है, तो हम किसी सीक्वेंस को फॉलो नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन अगर आप एक्स्ट्रा कुछ पढ़ना चाह रहे हैं तो आप इन बुक्स को फॉलो कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, जो आखिरी बुक है शाम्स आउटलाइन सीरीज, इसमें बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, ये लाइब्रेरी में अवेलेबल है बुक। अगर ये आपको बुक मिल जाती है तो इसमें आपको लिस्ट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स हर डाटा स्ट्रक्चर की बहुत सारे मिल जाएंगे, आप इनको फॉलो करें। इनको इसको फॉलो कर सकते हैं पेपर की तैयारी के लिए। इसके अलावा आउटलाइन आपकी गूगल क्लासरूम में शेयर हो चुकी है और आप लोगों को सबको क्लासरूम के ऐड भी कर दिया है, वहां पे आप जाके कुछ वेब लिंक्स आपके साथ शेयर किए हुए हैं। ठीक है, यूआरएल्स हैं, उनको अगर आप क्लिक करेंगे तो आपको वहां पे बहुत से डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स की इंप्लीमेंटेशन और बहुत से डाटा स्ट्रक्चर्स की जो होते हैं ना ड्राई रन्स, ठीक है, एनिमेशंस, वो भी मिल जाएंगी। ठीक है, आप उनको भी फॉलो कर सकते हैं, जैसे जैसे हम कोई डाटा स्ट्रक्चर कवर करते जाए वैसे वैसे आप उनको फॉलो करते जाए। ठीक है जी, तो दैट्स इट फॉर टुडे। हम कल से इंशाल्लाह अपना फॉर्मली एक स्पेसिफिक कोर्स कंटेंट को फॉलो करना शुरू करेंगे। तो अगर कुछ बच्चों के पास क्लासरूम कोड अभी भी नहीं है तो लेट मी जस्ट सर, मैं आपको एक मिनट देता हूँ। बाकी लोग ऐसा करें, कुछ लोग छोड़ के जा रहे थे मीटिंग को, आप लोग मीटिंग छोड़ने से पहले सबसे पहले चैट के अंदर अपना जो रोल नंबर है वो लिख के अपनी जो अटेंडेंस है वो मार्क कर दें। ठीक है जी, अटेंडेंस मार्क करने, रोल नंबर लिख के सब लोग सेंड कर दें। मैं आपके साथ क्लासरूम कोड शेयर कर दूंगी। चलिए जल्दी से पेस्ट कर दें सब लोग अपनी अटेंडेंस। ये क्लासरूम कोड है, इस क्लासरूम को आप ज्वाइन कर लेंगे। ठीक है जी, ओके जी, अब सब लोग जा सकते हैं, जिन लोगों ने अटेंडेंस दी थी वो जा सकते हैं।